everybody, and welcome. I'm Chris Brock, and I'm joined here with,
That guy Matt. Hello, everyone. I am the guy that sometimes reviews movies.
and we have a bunch of horror news for you guys. And to go ahead and start it off, let's start with Saw 11. After the success of Saw X, Saw 11 was quickly announced with a September 2024 release date that would eventually get pushed back until September of 2025. Bloody Disgusting then released a bombshell report in mid-March, with a source close to the production revealing that Saw 11 was totally dead. We haven't heard anything since May. Saw 11 screenwriter Patrick Melton told The Hollywood Reporter in March, after the Bloody Disgusting report dropped, it stalled at a managerial level. It has nothing to do with creative or anything else. There's a higher level things at play. Saw 11 may or may not be made, but we have a very timely story in it, and I hope it gets made just because of that. It taps into the same themes of Saw 6, where you're a citizen, you feel angry and frustrated with something, you feel like you can't do anything, and John Kramer is going to do it. The reason it's held up is just there's inner squabblings between producers and Lionsgate. They just can't quite get on the same page. Saw 11 was recently pulled off of Lionsgate's release calendar entirely, with The Strangers Chapter 2 taking its place.
It's interesting you mentioned, Saw 6, also being like a timely thing because it kind of reminds me of like both of Saw 6, with the CEO thing, in the medical field and being timely. Also, Spiral was kind of like a timely sequel with, the police system and, injustice and how like some cops were corrupt and whatnot. So that tells me that they have a pretty interesting idea and like that's kind of like what I'm interested in. Now, as a result of this delay, is that script still gonna be happening, or are they gonna, like, now delay it as a result of this indefinite delay? I mean, who knows, but I just have to say that the fact that, like, Strangers Chapter 2 is now taking its place is really
Oh,
disappointing because I actually
horrible.
really did not like the Strangers Chapter 1 at all.
I think honestly, it could be something to do with maybe like a health insurance angle because the United Healthcare CEO, what was his name, Brian Thompson, he got murdered. That was still
Yeah.
very timely, very recent. Maybe they're trying to back away from that because of that. Um, I have no idea, but I did like that in Saw 6, like you mentioned. So,
Yeah.
unfortunate news. Although Billy the Puppet did say that the games are not over quite yet. So, the future, we don't know what it holds for, Saw, but
Yeah.
hopefully it's not entirely game over. Tony Todd will be making his final big screen appearance in Final Destination Bloodlines, playing recurring franchise character William Bloodworth for the final time. So this was bittersweet seeing Tony Todd in this picture. Me personally, I dig the beard, but it's no secret that his physical condition was pretty rough. And
Yeah.
I'm excited to see the film just based on seeing Tony Todd again. Uh, what do you think about that picture?
Like you said, it was bittersweet, and, I think, yeah, I mean, like, I think I've openly said this before, like, I've never been, like, the biggest fan of the franchise as a whole, but, like, just like Tony Todd and his other movies, even his mediocre ones, he's always usually the star of the show,
Mhm.
and I loved him in the series, and, of course, I love him a lot as Candyman, but, like, it's
Iconic.
bittersweet to see him in here, but, the picture was like a nice, like, little, just like a little attention grabber, sure, like, it's like one of his, like, final roles. I don't know if it is gonna be his official last role, but, like, it's, like, one of those however you pronounce it, it's, like, posthumous roles where it's, like,
Mhm.
after he dies, but we'll see. I mean, I have, like, semi high hopes for the film, so, like, either way, I'm excited to see Tony for, like, his potential last ride in Final Destination.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you, man. Having Tony Todd in the film is definitely, to me, the biggest selling point in it. I like the first two Final Destination films. I'm not the biggest fan of the franchise. I don't hate them. They just kind of dip in quality for me. But the more I see this one, and it could just be the fact that, we haven't got a Final Destination film in a minute. I'm actually kind of getting excited for it. I think maybe not to the extent of the log truck, but I think the glass in the trailer, that whole sequence is probably gonna create a new panic. So
Yeah.
it looks interesting to me. I think I'll go and give it a watch, just to see Tony Todd. I think it should be a fun time. It looks like we may be getting a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. Strange Darlin director JT Molnar is reportedly in talks to take over a new iteration of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. And if he does, Running Man star Glenn Powell could be the one to lead it. Nothing's set in stone yet, but it looks like Verb, who owned the rights to the Toby Hooper created franchise since 2017, are actively looking for a new director for the slasher series.
So I need to go ahead and state outright that like I am not again like just like how like the original I love and respect it. I did not grow up watching a majority of these movies. My favorite iteration of the franchise is still the 2003 remake, I think, by Platinum Dunes. I know that some people might consider that blasphemy. I love that film. It was one of the scariest movies I remember seeing as a kid. So like, but that being said, I still have seen the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I love and respect it. But that being said, I have not seen a majority of its sequels.
They're
I
messy.
did see I have seen the recent film from Netflix, and like you said, there are some things about it that I do like, but like overall, the film just to me is just kind of like it just feels like it's like a desperate attempt to be Halloween 2018, but
Yeah.
somehow even inferior to that movie. Like you have is it Sally Hardesty's character? I
Yeah.
always forget.
Yeah. Sally
She's
Hardesty.
back in the role, different actress, because obviously the original actress she passed away after the
Mhm.
events of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D movie. Um I don't know, like some of the kills were pretty cool. It definitely is one of the gorier entries in this
Yeah.
entire
Had some
franchise.
good kills. Yeah.
Um it had actually like one of my favorite things about the movie actually was just like one of the doorway kills, like with the guy, the door keep like rotating back and forth with the guy.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
who just keeps. I thought that was a pretty cool kill. The way that it was actually shot and presented was kind of cool. But Leatherface in this movie just, I think on his own, that's when he actually tends to be the worst in the franchise. Because like for me, the highlight actually is the family. They're just as menacing
Mhm.
as a as Leatherface himself. But in this movie, he just feels like Jason Voorhees with a
Yeah.
chainsaw.
Yeah. I definitely missed the
So
family aspect of it. It definitely did.
definitely can enjoy it just kind of, like, on a so bad that's good level. It's not, like, the
Mhm.
worst slasher I've ever seen, but it's not, like, in my top favorites of all the franchises, and keep in mind, I haven't seen all the movies, so that's important to keep in mind, but, I again, just like with, like, a lot of these series, this is, like, one of the most rebooted franchises of all time, so,
Dude,
like,
absolutely.
I'll give it a shot and see if it's good, but I don't know. We'll just have to see, but
Dude,
yeah.
at this point, I don't even care if they're good. Let's just stick with the damn continuity. I mean,
Right.
how many one and done films can you do? It's
Mhm.
getting excessive, and I know a lot of people like to give Halloween a bad rep, and rightfully so in some regard, but Leatherface and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise, it is a messy one. Please have a good, competent director come in and give us a movie or two that's good, because this
Mhm.
franchise, in my opinion, definitely needs it. And I'm saying that as someone who loves the original. I love part two, and I really like the remake and even the beginning, but there's a few in there that are really not good. Linda Cardellini joins A24's Crystal Lake as Pamela Voorhees. Cardellini's Pamela is believed to be a mother who has given up a singing career to raise a special needs child and takes a dark turn when she loses her son. Despite a troubled history, it looks like Crystal Lake is finally beginning to take shape, and in my opinion, this is great news for the Friday the 13th fans. I mean, the series has been dormant ever since the lawsuits. Obviously, you had some really good fan films in there that has tried to fill the void, and some of them really have great fan films, but we want something officially Friday the 13th, and holy shit, it's about damn time. And I know we're going back to the Pamela angle, but hey, you got to start somewhere. What do you think of this, Matt?
Yeah, I was waiting for more details to arise about the show, but like, well, because like for like the longest time, it was like debated, like, well, is it going to be like a movie? Is it going to be
Hmm.
like a TV show? And like, if they're going to do the TV show angle, I actually don't mind them going with Pamela in this instance. And I think the reason for that is because like when it comes to something like Jason, like obviously he's a protagonist that doesn't talk. So like, like you kind of need someone to kind of carry the show at least somewhat.
Yeah.
And like same thing with like Freddy versus Jason. I think that like even though it's like a versus movie, I think Freddy obviously is the one who kind of carries the movie in a lot of ways just because he talks and he's maniacal and whatnot. Jason is important, but like I think they're kind of serving each other in that movie. But going back to the series, if they're going to make it about anyone, I think making it about Pamela actually could be interesting because it could actually maybe show her diving deeper and deeper into her revenge and hell-bent on keeping Crystal Lake shut down. And there's like a lot of interesting things they can do with this. Like,
I agree.
and no, now whether she's the antagonist or whether she's actually the protagonist of the show and they focus on her specifically, I have no idea. But like, um, I'd be interesting to know what they do with it. I do like Linda Cardellini as an actress. I think she's pretty good.
Well,
I've seen her in some things I think she was pretty good at. But like,
well, we're late
yeah,
'90s kids, so we know her from Scooby Doo.
Scooby Doo and of course
Hmm.
the Curse of La Llorona.
I've
But
not watched that
that's
one.
something I don't want to get into because that movie's not that great. But yeah, I am curious. I'll give it a chance. This is just me, but like some people are gonna say like I want to see Jason back, and I'm like I do too.
Oh yeah,
I grew up watching Friday the 13th. It was one of my favorite franchises of all time. But at the same time, I'm like we've had like 12 to 13 movies about him. Like I think we could. Whether we get another movie at some point or not, like I'm just happy to have any Friday the 13th stuff officially
exactly.
being made again. And who knows, like if the show is successful, they might make another Friday the 13th movie officially about Jason again. Who knows? I mean, this could lead up to interest to, getting us another movie. I don't know.
We finally have the "I Know What You Did Last Summer" reboot official poster, along with the release date of July 18th and a brief plot summary. When five friends inadvertently cause a deadly car accident, they cover up their involvement and make a pact to keep it a secret rather than face the consequences. A year later, their past comes back to haunt them, and they're forced to confront a horrifying truth. Someone knows what they did last summer and is hell bent on revenge. As one by one the friends are stalked by a killer, they discover this has happened before, and they turn to two survivors of the legendary Southport Massacre of 1997 for help. I do enjoy the "I Know What You Did Last Summer" films to a certain extent. I don't think that they're on the level of Scream, but I can find some enjoyment out of them. Hell, I'm even someone that enjoys "I Still Know What You Did Last Summer." I just like me a little bit of Jamaican Jack Black. You can call me weird for that, but I
Yeah.
enjoy it. But how do you feel about the films, and are you excited for this? And what do you think of the poster as well?
Well, first and foremost, I'll always know what you did last summer. That movie can go to fucking hell. So, but first two, I have a nostalgia for. I love the first one quite a bit. Second one, I can subconsciously enjoy, even though it's really stretching my believability at times. And of course, Jack Black's there, of course, but
Oh
that's
yeah.
all fun and games. But um, it's interesting because like this appears to be once again the requel kind of thing where like
Hmm.
they're bringing back old characters from the franchise, and it seems like they're going to be I want to believe that they're either going to admit the third one and just pretend it didn't happen, or
Fingers crossed.
they're going to just also carry on from the second one. But then again, the second one also leaves on a cliffhanger, so I guess they're just going to ignore the last two and focus on the first one and this one. So it's like a Candyman situation. It's a Halloween type situation where they just ignore the whole franchise and just move on from the original to this one. So like I've always thought that the original I Know What You Did Last Summer, it is a good film, but it's never been perfect. I think that
Mhm.
it definitely has like a lot of 90s cliches that kind of
Oh
like
yeah.
can be seen as dated today. I don't feel like I don't feel like it's as up to date as something like Scream. I feel like Scream
Hmm.
came out in the 90s, but it feels more modern than even that movie did. But I'm curious. Like, I enjoy the first one quite a bit. It's got some cheesy nostalgia for me. The Fisherman has never been like one of my favorite slashers of all time.
Yeah.
He can be intimidating, but at the same time, like he doesn't really have as much of that iconic look as some other icons do.
The new poster, I actually really do like. I think it's simple and effective. I've noticed the trend of white and red in, modern horror movie posters, and I love it. The plot itself is fairly simple. It's another,
Hmm.
requel, but that's all I'm really asking for in a slasher film. Have good kills, have decent characters, and it should hopefully be better than the sequels. I mean, it's not really like the bar is really high. Last but not least, John Carpenter is getting his own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The master of horror will be receiving his very own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame next month, with a dedicated ceremony to honor the man behind Halloween, The Fog, and more. The ceremony will take place in front of Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel on April 3rd at 11 a.m. Pacific Time. So, Matt, I actually thought that John Carpenter already had his own star. So this
You
kind of
didn't actually
shocked
know.
me. Yeah, I thought he
Yeah.
already had it for whatever reason. Maybe I just think too highly of the guy. His filmography for me, he is my favorite director. There's a few that do rival him, but there is just a stretch of films that he's done that to me, it's like banger after banger. I mean,
Mhm.
my God, Halloween, The Thing, Big Trouble in Little China, so many good ones. Even like Prince of Darkness, I think is a little underrated.
Yeah.
Not his best work, but still pretty good. I mean, who doesn't like Alice Cooper? Being a fucking horror film, that's badass.
Right, right.
So
Um, yeah, it's well, I admit that I haven't seen every single one of John Carpenter's films, of course, but like he's established himself as like one of the like of course the masters of horror.
mhm.
So like if for me actually, I was actually quite surprised it took this long for him to
Yeah,
actually get his star. I mean, like people can debate all day about like what they think his best film is. Of course, for me, it's still The Thing, but that's of course I feel like it's not a unpopular opinion.
mhm,
But, I love John Carpenter. I love how talented he is, how varied he is, the fact that he's a director, he's a writer, and he makes music. I mean,
mhm.
he just all around is a talented guy, and,
Jack of
I
all
think it's
trade.
well deserved. It's well deserved, and, like I said, I just think that it's kinda surprising that it took this long, but, sometimes it just takes that long to actually, get garner all that work and get rewards for it. So, yeah, I'm excited. I've actually been on. I used to live in California, and I used to actually walk down Hollywood Boulevard and like the all that stuff.
Damn.
And it was always fascinating, like walking on certain star names and whatnot. And yeah, I don't even as a kid, I don't recall ever seeing his name on the board. And it's interesting now that he's finally getting one. So it's just great to see.
That's all the horror news we have for you in this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did like this video, leave it a like and let us know your opinion on these topics down below in the comments, and we'll catch you in the next one.
If we recall back to like Spiral, with Chris Brock, that one actually also was kind of like a
You
timely
say
Saw
Chris
movie too.
Rock?
Or
Saw 11 was